Good afternoon to all. Thank you for joining us. I am Esther from Enterprise Singapore, and I'll be your host for today. Today's webinar is held in e-Symposia 2021, which is a year-long series of webinars that will cover research themes and innovation topics in the space of urban sustainability. Our webinar today is titled Innovating for a Sustainable Future, Role of Demand-Led Innovation and Enterprise Partnerships. Through this webinar, Enterprise Singapore aims to highlight the relevance and effectiveness of open innovation challenges, also known as OICs, in helping companies address their sustainability targets and build their value proposition. We also hope to encourage companies, especially Singapore large enterprises, to lead and contribute their problem statements while partnering with SMEs and startups through this platform for sustainability solutions. To kickstart today's webinar, Mr. Boon, ESG's Executive Director of Startup and Innovation Ecosystem, will open the session with an overview on how innovation is a key lever for creating business growth and driving sustainability. Mr. Tan will also share how businesses can tap on open innovation to form mutually beneficial partnerships for addressing business challenges and market gaps. Without further ado, Mr. Tan, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Enterprise Singapore and the Ministry of National Development, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the R&D e-Symposium webinar. I would like to thank our partners, CapitaLand, Pan Pacific Hotels Group, Evercomm, Climatec Corp, Innoviews, and Ecolabs for taking time and stepping forward to share with us their innovation journey and experiences. It's been more than a year since the COVID-19 pandemic arrived on Singapore's shores, creating challenges for many businesses. However, even in this time of uncertainty, opportunities exist for companies that embrace and leverage innovation for capturing emerging opportunities locally, regionally, and globally. A McKinsey study showed that during the 2009 financial crisis, organizations that maintain their innovation focus emerged stronger, outperforming the market average by more than 30%. Sustainability has also become a top priority across global economies and businesses. Corporate giants like Nike and IKEA have stepped up their sustainability agenda by focusing on waste reduction and greening supply chain, while Coca-Cola is increasing focus on water stewardship and regenerative water use. Becoming sustainable has multi-pronged benefits, including reducing bottom lines, as companies require less to produce more, strengthening value proposition with enhanced products, services or business models, and alignment with consumers' interests. Today, the competitive landscape is rapidly evolving, with the quest towards being greener and more sustainable. Companies must change the way they think about technologies, products, and doing businesses. And in particular, the key to staying ahead of the curve is through innovation. While innovating through internal R&D was the traditional approach, we are seeing more corporates adopting the approach of open innovation in recent years. In open innovation, corporates share their needs or pain points and crowdsource for innovative solutions. More than 600 challenge statements have been launched by over 400 corporates through the Open Innovation Network since the end of 2019, and the numbers continue to grow. Through such open innovation partnerships, these corporates gain access to wider pool of talent and expertise, reduce the cost of doing R&D while accelerating the time to market for new products. For the solution providers, it provides the opportunity to develop solutions with real business needs and gain access to resources such as funding, mentorships, and test beds, which are critical ingredients for successful solution development. For example, 20 National Innovation Challenges, or NICs, were launched since last July, bringing together multiple corporates, government agencies, and solution providers to resolve industry-wide challenges where awarded participants can benefit from up to 2 million in co-funding grant support at various stages from prototyping, deployment to adoption. CapitaLand was the co-challenge owner for 2 of the NICs launched with the National Environment Agency. In addition to these government-initiated calls, CapitaLand also took the lead to launch its inaugural Sustainability X Challenge last November to solicit ideas for making buildings more climate resilient and resource efficient. Climatec, Corp, and Innoviews, who are speaking later, emerged as winners of the challenge for their cooling tower water treatment solution and smart glass technology. They will be able to test fit their green solutions with CapitaLand, accelerating their business growth while supporting CapitaLand's sustainability effort. Beyond local corporates and government agencies, we also see global corporates participating in open innovation challenges. I would like to take this opportunity to share 2 ongoing open innovation challenges organized by ESG in partnership with our corporate demand drivers. Last month, ESG and JTC jointly launched the Jurong Island Innovation Challenge with 8 Jurong Island corporates, including Croda, Singapore LNG, Shell, and one of our local SME, UNP, across 4 thematic areas of water, energy, and waste management and carbon emissions. Additionally, we also launched the first round of the Sustainability Open Innovation Challenge 2021 with 6 other demand drivers, including the Alliance to End Plastic Waste, Changi Airport Group, and Mercedes-Benz, in the areas of waste management, sustainable materials, and sustainable food source. I'm happy to see that Pan Pacific Group and Evercomm matched through the Sustainability Open Innovation Challenge 2019 are also joining us today. We warmly welcome innovators to participate in these ongoing innovation challenges and would also like to invite like-minded corporates to join us in future open innovation partnerships. We have seen good interest in our open innovation efforts and believe it will continue to grow. Likewise, sustainability will also become more important and integral in doing businesses. And we urge businesses to tap on our innovation ecosystem and work with partners to move forward on the journey of sustainable development. Through the lineup of sharing from today's webinar, we hope to inspire and encourage you to embark or accelerate your open innovation journey. Once again, thank you for joining us today, and I wish you a fruitful session ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Tan, for the opening address. It is encouraging to hear the many successful partnerships between enterprises. To echo what Mr. Tan had mentioned, we would also like to invite and encourage SMEs to join the ongoing OICs, such as the Sustainability Open Innovation Challenge and Jurong Island Innovation Challenge. Do come forward with your solutions, and we look forward to your active participation. More details of the challenges can be found on the Open Innovation Network website and at the end of this webinar. We will now take this chance to transit into an exciting fireside chat with ESG's Director of Urban Solutions and Infrastructure Services, Mr. Yeoh, CapitaLand's Vice President for Group Sustainability, Mr. Howland, and the Vice President of Hotel Operations at Pan Pacific Hotels Group, Mr. Marc Handl. They will be discussing about their organization's commitment to sustainability and the role of demand-led innovation in driving the sustainability agenda. This session will be moderated by Mr. Mahesh Kumar, Program Director of Ecolabs. Should you have any questions during the session, please feel free to send them to us via the Q&A chat box on the bottom of your screen. Over to you, Mahesh.
Thank you, Esther, and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the session. Glad to have 3 esteemed speakers. Maybe just let me just take an honor to quickly introduce the background. So Choon, just to let you know, he's the Director for Urban Systems and Infrastructure Solutions. He has a managing portfolio from energy, water, waste, and as well as built environment and real estate. His team manages, I have the fortune to work with his team, so his team works extensively helping local enterprise build innovation capabilities and also to take them internationally. He's been off late working with multiple government stakeholders to build a more better ecosystems for sustainability. Thank you, Choon, for joining us today. A pleasure having you here. Along with him is also two esteemed demand partners. We have Mr. Howland and Marc. Just to give a brief background about Ted, he's the Group Sustainability Director for Vice President as well as for CapitaLand Group. He is having 20 years of experience in sustainability, cutting end-to-end energy, water, waste, recycling. Is also a subject matter expertise in thermal comfort as well as in water. Great to have you, Ted. And he is also very strong in terms of a professional engineer background as well. He comes from Stanford, so he understands whatever you're going to speak, much deeper context. Thank you, Ted, for joining today. Pleasure having you as well. And with him is Marc from the PPH group. He's been 3 generations of hotelier, if I'm right, with more than 2 decades of experience. Very interesting background from hotel management as well as all the way to Cornell and as well as to business school. I think you would understand everything what goes into a hospitality sector. Great to have you here. You've also been an active proponent for open innovation ecosystems, and so great to have you, Marc, and look forward to hearing more such insights. So thank you all. The session is very simple. It states that we are innovating for a sustainable future, and why not look at all the demand partners who are here and as well as the government here who's going to enable this. So it's going to be an exciting chat. My role is simple. I'm just going to be the moderator and going to hear most of it and just ask questions. Okay, if all good, and as rightly pointed out, yes, sir, free to ask questions. We'll pick it up from the floor and we'll ask these questions to the panelists, right? So maybe Choon, let me take this opportunity to start with you, right? Your role is much larger than any one of us, and you look at a much larger context, right? And from that context, why is open innovation programs so important for sustainability? And then how do you tie these open innovation program with Singapore's realization of 2030 Green Plan? So why don't you share some light on this?
Yeah, thank you, Mahesh. Very good afternoon to everyone. My name is Choon, and very heartwarming to see so many of you here today. Obviously, we have hoped to see you face to face, but this is the best way in light of the COVID situation. So thank you, Mahesh, for the question. You know, I was speaking to a couple of companies yesterday who were attending NUS Enterprise Leadership course. These were Generation 1 as well as Gen 2 leaders. And what struck me about these companies was their positivity. Positivity, even in light of the current pandemic, and even in light of the many challenges that companies today face. And that really is a reflection of the current operating context in which we all know of today. Rapid industrialization, younger demographics, and we are faced with a lot of vulnerabilities, but at the same time, many more opportunities as well. Opportunities in the world of digital, going rapidly towards a digital world. And as Mahesh also mentioned, opportunities in the area of sustainability. I would say in the past, sustainability is something that people did because they had to, it was seen as a cost, and really they embarked on sustainability initiatives just to meet maybe regulatory requirements. But over in the past, I would say a couple of years, we are seeing some of the larger conglomerates, I think some of them are participating in today's webinar as well, embark on sustainability initiatives to build it as a brand differentiator, really to stand out amongst the many other companies out there, and to see how we can use sustainability as a capability to help you differentiate yourself from the competition. And that's why we think sustainability is so important today. And open innovation, as you talked about in the area of sustainability, is where we see there could be more technological breakthroughs. And really, in Enterprise Singapore's perspective, what we're trying to do is really to bring the two together, right? On the supply side, we want to identify companies who are able to provide relevant solutions in the area of sustainability, technology innovation. And on the demand side, we want to match corporates and conglomerates who have problem statements in the area of sustainability and who are keen to actually work with the ecosystem of companies out there to develop solutions to problem statements. So that's what we strive to do as part of the overall agenda under the Singapore Green Plan.
Yeah, thanks, Choon. I think I'm part of it, so good to hear this perspectives as well. So maybe a question to Ted, right? So I think Choon made a very interesting point on building capabilities, and CapitaLand is one large entity. And how do you see sustainability capability building, and why is it so important for your business transformation as a strategic pillar? Like if you could share some strategic sides on sustainability initiative from your side, that would be great.
All right, I'd be happy to.
Sure.
So first off, I guess I should start off by saying thank you for having me here. And as a company, we feel that sustainability has a profound and long-standing impact in the world that we live in. We place sustainability at the core of everything we do, and we're committed to growing in a responsible manner, delivering long-term economic value and contributing to the environmental and social well-being of our communities. Our own sustainability journey started over 20 years ago, and we wanted to build on this foundation that's made our business resilient to the sustainability and economic challenges that are faced by the real estate industry today. During this period, the company has also grown exponentially in size, along with a greatly increased diversity and complexity in our real estate portfolio. So as a leading real estate company with more than 1,000 properties worldwide across all these different asset classes, the challenge was to have a strategic blueprint that can galvanize our sustainability efforts across the entire group on a common course so that we can maximize our impact. We need to incorporate sustainability considerations across the full spectrum. So to elevate this commitment to sustainability, we launched our CapitaLand 2030 Sustainability Master Plan in October 2020 with some very ambitious targets. The CapitaLand Sustainability X Challenge, which is going to be talked about a little bit later today, is a key part of this strategy. And to meet the targets in the master plan, we don't believe we can rely on incremental improvements. We need the quantum leaps, we need the breakthrough solutions. The Sustainability Challenge serves as a global platform to present real-life problems and promote the acceleration of sustainability and innovation in collaboration with CapitaLand in the built environment sector. Our ambition is to use this to accelerate innovation in this sector, as the sector contributes to 30 to 40% of global carbon emissions.
Yeah.
So it's a very big contributor. We need a lot of solutions. And we hope that this will catalyze and bring together the global ecosystem. And I can go more into about the sustainability challenge, but I would like to say we're very encouraged by the wide range of very promising innovative solutions that have been submitted. They range from energy solutions, including heat recovery, solar-related innovations, energy efficiency improvements, the glazing shield that was mentioned earlier today, one of our winners, Innovating, to solutions relating to water, waste management, and circularity. Not forgetting, there's also a number to improve indoor air quality and addressing threats such as COVID-19 and AIDS. Our two winners solutions in particular, we believe are going to be very innovative and impactful. And we're very excited and can't wait to see how these pilots pan out. And you also asked a bit about education and capacity building. So we're also using CSXE as a way of building capacity among the startups that work with us. We take them through a mentoring process, a coaching process, which helps them to sharpen this plan, sharpen their pitches, because if their innovations are successful, we don't want to be the only ones using them. We want everybody to use them because we'll have a market impact on the built environment. Also, through the process of piloting, we work very, very, very closely with them. We don't just say, okay, congratulations, go do it. We work with them and accompany them through the whole part of the process. And in that way, we also increase their skills, because this, in some cases, is the very first time they're doing a pilot. In other cases, it's the very first time they're doing a pilot with a corporate. So we need to take them through stepwise exactly how they intend their pilot to work, what to do if things don't go exactly correct, and everything from A to Z. It's a learning experience for a lot of them, and they have feedback that is very valuable. So it's one of the more unique features, I think, that our CapitaLand Sustainability X Challenge offers to the startups that we work with.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. And I can't be more pleased to hear with what you're saying, that we started it 20 years ago. So it's almost a daily ingrained habit in CapitaLand to push sustainability. Thanks, Ted, for that perspective. Maybe I'll just quickly move over to Marc. Marc, that's interesting, right? It's quite a regular habit for CapitaLand, but you are probably facing a different industry scenario. But now sustainability even becomes more important at times like this for hospitality sector. Why don't you throw perspectives from your side, how you are seeing sustainability times like this and moving forward, does it completely change your landscape?
Absolutely, it's been a growing topic in the hotel industry. But to your point, now that the COVID has happened, that has accelerated the importance of this topic. I'll just give you a little background of what we do. Pan Pacific Hotel Group is mindful of the ecological footprint that urban development and the global hospitality have. In particular, the Park Royal Collection brand, where we are particularly dedicated to push to drive the sustainability agenda, and we aim to continuously raise this bar as we grow this new brand. We currently have 2 hotels in Singapore under this brand: the Park Royal Collection Marina Bay and the Park Royal Collection Pickering. And by the end or mid 2022, we will open a new Park Royal Collection Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. So when we consider the evolving trends in hospitality, we see a movement, towards holistic service that takes care of needs from wellness to, let's say, clean eating. For us, sustainability forms a part of this holistic approach, a way of rebuilding our relationship with nature and taking care of oneself. So going green with our eco-conscious infrastructure, biophilic design, it's an investment, that will not only satisfy our guests' expectations and enhance our guest experiences, but also bring us long-term cost savings, which will ultimately increase profitability for our owners and investors. For example, in the last 6 years, pre-COVID, through 2013 to 2019, we achieved over 26% reduction in energy intensity and over 24% reduction in water intensity per guest night. So, our group's efforts in sustainability have earned both the Park Royal Collection Marina Bay and Park Royal Collection Pickering BCA Green Mark Gold and Platinum certifications, respectively. And this has made a visible impact on their carbon footprint. So through this Park Royal Collection brand, we believe that we're setting a strong precedent for effective, sustainable urban development. But however, our sustainability efforts are not limited to just this one brand. It's a group effort, and so also through our Park Royal brand and also Pan Pacific Hotel brands, we are doing as much as we can with sustainability and green efforts. And so this visible commitment to sustainability has garnered our brands a growing following, especially among Gen Y, Gen Z, and millennial demographics.
Yeah, that's actually making me curious before I move to Choon. But do you also see behavioral from the customer side also changing and demanding more sustainability?
Excuse me, what was that?
Do you also see customers also changing their behavior towards hospitality sector?
Absolutely, it's a growing demand. And for example, when it comes to, let's say, MICE, meetings and conventions, conferences, it has become a criteria for these organizers when they search for venues, which you wouldn't have seen even as early as 5 years ago. because so many companies are making an effort to increase their sustainability efforts. So it's also their duty when they choose what hotel to use or what conference rooms or banquet rooms to use for their events. So it's a partnership in a way. I mean, in sustainability, there are no competitors, right?
Absolutely.
Even amongst hotel group, it's we only have collaborators. It's a team effort amongst hotel groups, amongst our partners, and amongst our guests and our clients. So yeah, good point.
Yeah, great. I think that's a nice word. There's no competition, there's no cooperation. Choon, your role is largely anchoring collaborations. AESC has brought in the open innovation challenges, slingshots, has create new institutions and centers of innovation. Choon, I think you would be the best person to share some examples to our audience in terms of how these programs actually create impact when it comes to, and maybe you could share some stories which you think are great stories to share to the audience here on sustainability through these challenges.
Yeah, thanks, Mahesh. I think essentially there are three ways in which Enterprise Singapore supports the growth of companies. I think the first one is really we want to create more self-help tools to help companies to access more generic solutions in a way that they can quickly adopt productivity solutions and leverage on the growth of digital to scale the business. And we also leverage on the SMEs as well as the TACs, SME centers and TACs, trade associations, to provide more assistance to these companies. And then the second way is what we call transforming the middle. I think this is really what we want to talk about, in which we work with enablers to help companies to gain access to partners whom they can work with to upskill and upskill themselves. For example, we support the setup of centers of innovations, which provide support in the area of technology translation, technology development, as well as IP know-how acquisition to really help companies build capability as a strong differentiator. Mahesh will be most familiar with the work that we do with Ecolabs. I think we have supporting Ecolabs for a couple of years really, to provide solutions in the area of energy and energy management. I think that area is also in the area of customized support, in which we identify a group of high growth companies and work with them to provide dedicated assistance to help them scale as quickly as possible. We have programs like Scale Up, which is tailored to meet the specific needs of these. We also have agencies to organize open innovation calls, as what Mahesh spoke about earlier, to really bring together corporates who are able to provide problem statements that are looking for solutions to, and also identify for us in Enterprise Singapore side, to identify companies who are able to develop relevant solutions to these problem statements, and really to bring these two companies together to form a partnership. I also wanted to speak about what Marc mentioned earlier, that Pan Pacific is looking for holistic solutions. And really there's the trend that we're observing for many of the demand drivers that we're speaking to today. Many of these companies are not looking for siloed solutions, but rather integrated and aggregated solutions that can meet the needs in a holistic manner. What Strive to do is really companies to partner together to create these kind of solutions, because we realize that often companies are unable to develop the solutions on their own. And by bringing companies with complementary capabilities across the entire value chain together, we hope to create the kind of stronger value proposition that can really effectively meet the needs of the demand driver. I think the Singapore Green Plan has announced quite a number of public sector initiatives. I think that the rollout of solar programs, energy efficiency programs under BCA, circular economy under NEA, will provide a kind of attraction for companies to really leverage on to build track record in Singapore first. And then from there, use it as a stepping board to spring into overseas markets. As that's really what in Enterprise Singapore, what we hope to achieve at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? You said prove the track record in Singapore, right? That's why we also have the demand partners here to validate that. Ted, that actually brings down to your question. You have been an active pioneer supporting open innovation challenges in 2019, 2020, Sustainable X challenges. So how do you actually help these startups and SMEs and solution providers to onboard the journey and what exactly is your contribution once you're in? I'll also just pick a question from John a little later once you finish. There's a question from the floor which is largely addressing you. But why don't you first share what's your mechanism to involve through these challenges and how it's been experienced for these companies?
Sure, happy to take that one. Alrighty, so first I'll give a little bit more background on the CapitaLand Sustainability X Challenge for those that are not quite as intimately familiar with it. So the inaugural event was this year in 2021. It's the first sustainability-focused innovation challenge in the built environment on a global scale, organized by a Singaporean real estate company. And again, our target is to help us meet our 2030 Sustainability Master Plan targets. So we issued 7 sustainability-related challenge statements, and we received over 270 entries from over 25 countries offering potential solutions. After a very rigorous evaluation process, we narrowed it down to 6 finalists who pitched their solutions to a panel of judges during our grand finale event, and we selected 2 top winners who received a award sum of 50,000 Singapore dollars to fund their pilots at select CapitaLand properties. Over the next months, we will be piloting the winner solutions, and we've also selected a number of non-winners who have very promising solutions, and we're in discussion, various levels of discussions with them on how to implement their pilots in our properties as well. So back to what we provide to the innovators. Well, we provide a number of things. First off, there is the experience of going through the innovation challenge. There is the award at the end of the innovation challenge of yes, you are guaranteed you will be able to pilot your project within our properties. So that doesn't mean we're just giving a cash grant and being done with it. It means that we're also working with them to identify the appropriate property and the appropriate location to test the system out. We're working with our own internal people and connecting the innovators with those internal people to ensure that the pilot goes smoothly and to ensure that they have the correct setup for the pilot, so that the proof points can be met and can be demonstrably met. So that is something which otherwise the innovators may not have. They may have the award, yes, your technology looks very interesting, go and pilot it, and then they can be stuck without a place to actually pilot. And with our global reach and our variety of asset types, basically we can pilot a technology in almost any area of the world. For example, our InnoView's glazing pilot is going to be piloted in the United States because we have a property that is just absolutely perfect to test and to demonstrate. And InnoView's being an American company, it simplifies the logistics a little bit. Climatec, Singaporean company, we're going to be piloting it in Singapore because we here in Singapore are a huge user of water-cooled chilling systems. Their technology works for water-cooled chilling systems. And also, if I may say, in Singapore we do water-cooled chilling systems about as one of the best in the world. So they get to try it on some of the best and most efficient systems in the world. So we offer that. Throughout the process, again, we also offer coaching and mentoring. We help them, we spend quite a lot of time and quite a lot of effort with them to help them refine their pitches, how they're going to express their ideas, how they're going to sell their pilots, how they're going to market their company to others, including our panel of judges. And we also help them to plan out their business plan, how they're going to scale up, have they thought it through, what other knowledge they can tap on from our mentors. So it's a very, we hope, attractive series of benefits just for participating in the overall process, even if they're not a finalist and a winner. And one of our finalists will be sharing their journey with us later this afternoon.
Oh, that'll be great. John, maybe that's a question from the floor. I'll just take a liberty to take a question from the floor as well. That's an interesting question. The question is something like, how does CapitaLand help growing tech providers? Because it's nothing to do with tech performance alone, but how do you actually help them to integrate into the business, integrate the solution into the business operations? I did hear that you help them to scale. So how do you overcome the business inertia or the business as usual inertia for not only just tech, but also into the business performance and adoption? Good question from John there. So
It's a very good question. I can talk for a very long time on it. So if I talk too much, just give me a signal. Just give me a signal, and I'll wrap it up.
Yep.
So in a nutshell, we expect the innovators to at least be able to express the advantage of their technology and make it arouse our interest, pique our interest. With that, CapitaLand overall, we're very committed to innovation. We're very committed to sustainability. Like I said, we have our 2030 sustainability master plan, and we have to meet those targets. So there's quite a lot of internal pressure to meet the targets, to find ways to meet the targets. It's always easier to meet targets with a new built building versus with an existing building because you have so much more freedom in the design. So, but our portfolio as a real estate company is primarily existing buildings. So that's an added motivation. That helps overcome the business as usual inertia. And again, with our sustainability team, we are also pushing for the innovations. We're making these connections. So it's not a wall that the innovators trying to climb on their own. We're helping them go through that. We know what motivates. We know what where the pain points are for our internal folks. So we help match up the solutions with those pain points, so that it's a very collaborative effort, a very unified team effort, and we believe that helps overcome the inertia. Because it's just a cold call, just somebody trying to come and say, hey, I have this great idea, maybe not so interested. We take a bit of a different approach.
I think that's more pleasing to hear for startups and SMEs to work with you all. You reduce the friction, but at the same time, you also give them the scale, which is fascinating to work with you all. That actually brings Pan Pacific is equally big, right, Marc? And I just want to know what real success drivers do you look from these initiatives? I did hear that you gave some clear energy intensity metrics and so forth, but when you work and collaborate with partners, do you really look at success, or you look at the larger impact, Marc?
Sure. Partners, just to mention a few, that we work with currently would be Evercomm Singapore, National Environmental Agency, Enterprise Singapore, of course, Nanyang Technology University, Edible Garden City, Apelles for guest amenities, and Vouch for digital concierge. And so, for success drivers, we basically look at 4 indicators: clear and open communication of existing challenges, smooth implementation, of course, alignment of key outcomes, and scalability. Well, maybe I should add more. Obviously we're in the hospitality industry, and our guest feedback, guest satisfaction is definitely important success driver. So when it comes to clear and open communications, it's important for us to examine, communicate the challenges we need to address for implementation. It's important that we have partners that we work with closely, who possess the capacity, the expertise, the commitment to developing the resources and to execute the project, to the end. For key outcomes, we need to be open about what we hope to achieve with this program solution, and partners that are able to align with this, particularly in regards to commercialization of the solution, I'd say. And for scalability, success can extend beyond, let's say, the specific program. If a partnership takes off, it could continue to expand to a greater scale in our partners. For example, extending our partnership with Evercomm, from the NEA ESG innovation call on food waste, and now because of that, we're also adopting its AI and IoT building energy management system across globally across all our properties.
Yeah, that's interesting, Marc. So, but I probably also have one more follow-up question in the same lines,
Sure.
Marc. I was like, what is interesting? You're not a tech company, right? But building capabilities is such an interesting thing for sustainability, right? It cuts across from left to right. So how are you handling it here?
So capability
in terms of adopting new technologies, because each technologies come from different horizons. How are you actually immersing it further?
Right. So it's about having the right partners. You know, we can assess what our guests need or what our guests are asking for. But as you said, we may not have the resources or the technology or the R&D to do it. So, you know, communication with our partners is important. Networking out there is important. And then, you know, making sure that the relevant associations or companies are aware that we are very interested and very willing to work with them on these initiatives. So, you know, participating in such events as today is one channel where we like to put the word out. And we're definitely active in a variety of events and activities.
Interesting. I'll also pick one question from the floor. Again, back to you, Marc. There's a question. I think you would be asked these kind of questions again and again, but I'm going to ask this in a more fun way. I said, there's distribution of bottled water, right? It's a nemesis.
Right. Okay.
Right. You know, and so I said, okay, why don't you give a circular angle to this rather than just addressing, right?
Yeah, that's a very common question. And, you know, it's not only about bottled water. I think that the thing is about you know, single-use plastics. I think that's what it is. So definitely we are active in that. I mean, I think all our hotels in Singapore already have eliminated the use of plastic bottles, for example. If I take Park Royal Collection Pickering, you know, we save about 230,000 plastic bottles a year. Wow. And in the Park Royal Collection Marina Bay, also in Singapore, last year we saved about 360,000 bottles. And so how do we do this? So for example, we partner with a company called Swiss Pro, that it's a filtered water system that we have in the rooms. It can be chilled, it can be room temperature, it can be hot so that you can quickly, you know, steep your tea. And again, in this initiative, you have to work closely with your partner because, you know, there's a certain amount of technology or machinery that needs to be put in the room. It needs to look nice, obviously, in a 5-star hotel. It needs to be easy to use. It needs to be safe. It needs to be quiet. See, a lot of times these gadgets or machines are not really designed or built for use in 5-star hotels. Yeah. And so we have to work with partners who are willing to adapt them or, you know, shape them to fit in. And our designers are involved as well. Another example would be Apellis, which is a boutique apothecary company, which we started using for all the bathroom amenities. So because the plastic bottles in bathrooms is also a big topic. So the containers with Apellis are either we use biodegradable containers, or we also use their pump systems, which are fixed to the bath or shower walls. So there's no waste of you know, plastics. And then this also flows into our restaurants and bars. You know, for example, we've eliminated straws, or we've eliminated you know, the plastic cocktail picks and so on. So it goes well beyond, or it can be the laundry bags, which we've eliminated, or the types of slippers that we use. You know? Or it goes well beyond just plastic water bottles. But that's
Mike, that's so pleasing to hear, to see sustainability cutting across so many different aspects of hospitality sector. That's innovation, everyone, audience, if you're listening to, it's just suddenly the energy, water, but it could be towels, it could be laundry, it could be everything. And glad to hear that perspective.
Well, I think that the challenge is, first of all, finding the right partners.
Yeah.
And then finding partners who are able to supply our need, whether it's for Singapore or whether it's for our hotels globally.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, so maybe Ted, I'll just have one question from the floor. This is from question from Anthony. This is more of an operational question, and then I'll flow to Choon. Is there an IP arrangement concerned through this open innovation which you have done, and how will we handle it? This is again a sort of an MSS question. What happens to IP? I'm sure you have an answer. Shoot.
Oh, yes, I've got an answer. And it's a fairly simple and straightforward one.
Yep.
For these challenges, we want to be dealing with people that own their IP. So we don't want to. So for a sustainability X challenge, which is going to be an annual challenge, by the way. So anybody on the line is interested in it, the next round will be coming up. We want to talk with folks that own the IP, not the distributors, the owners of the IP. But as part of the applications to the challenge, as part of the process, as part of the award process, we don't touch the IP. So there's no little clause hidden in there that we own any part of the IP because they've applied, because they've awarded, because they are putting it into any of our properties. No, we just want to deal with the folks that own the IP. Our only requirement is dealing with the folks that own the IP.
Got it. So that's quite interesting. So maybe another question, this could be jointly shared by both Marc and Ted here. There's a question on carbon capture. And how do you see, maybe first, Ted, you want to take the first shot, and then I'll follow it up with Marc on the other side.
I would love to take a first shot at that,
Yep.
Because with several of the internal teams, we were talking about carbon capture in the meeting just before this symposia, actually. So we are quite interested in carbon capture technologies, because we do build some new buildings. Buildings are carbon intensive, and anything we can do to reduce their carbon footprint, which is part of our sustainability master plan, is something that we're very interested in. So we actually have a separate internal process, our CapitaLand Innovation Fund, which is for innovations that are sourced internally. And we are evaluating at least one carbon capture technology for incorporation into new to be constructed projects.
Oh, that's interesting. Marc, how are you seeing it?
Right, good question. And actually, we are not into carbon capture yet, but this is definitely something we would like to get into if anybody's listening. We are looking for a partner for such initiatives. However, I can say that, for example, in our hotels, in particular Parker Collection hotels, we do use initiatives such as double glazed glass, for the windows or the atriums, where we reduce ambient temperature by 2 degrees or more. We use solar panels, saving thousands of dollars a year per property. We use motion sensors throughout the hotel, front of house, back of the house, to save energy. But specifically on this topic, yes, we definitely like to get into it.
Great. So Choon, maybe you also see carbon capture on the rise at the national level. So how do we see there could be an open innovation challenge on carbon capture, because you have announced a big initiative on ESP. Will this be a part of the agenda, and what does this enterprise sustainability program means, which is coming up big way in the next few years, right?
Yeah, thanks Mahesh for the question. The way we look at it, I think carbon capture, and from a broader perspective, not only carbon capture, but utilization of carbon as well, is a nascent industry, but gaining quite a fair bit of traction over the next few years. I think one of the things that we're trying to do is to really identify and create test bidding opportunities for companies with novel solutions to test bid their ideas. For example, some of the companies like Handl is adopting carbon cure solutions, injecting into fresh concretes that will reduce the amount of carbon footprints. And these are kind of innovative solutions that we want to encourage. Beyond that, we also see a need for regulatory intervention because when we talk about carbon capture and utilization, I think the part about the regulations need to come to play as well. From a BCA perspective, how do we see the development of technologies and using it in construction materials for the built environment? I think that's a thing that ESG is also looking quite closely at. Weaving this into the story about the enterprise sustainability program, we welcome companies to come forth if they have projects that they want to embark on. The program was only launched not too long ago. Details will be released in due course. But I think there are a few ways in which we can help companies at different stages of the sustainability journey to embark on their respective projects. For companies that are new to sustainability, I think the ESP, the Sustainability Program for short, can help to support companies who wish to embark on subsidized training workshops to gain for themselves a basic sustainability concepts as well as frameworks. As well as for companies who are not so new to sustainability, who are more experienced and wish to do more, the ESP can support them to embark on initiatives relating to sustainability strategy development or even resource optimization. What Enterprise Singapore sets out to do is also to work with partners in the industry to create a kind of ecosystem that can enrich the sustainability framework in Singapore. For example, we also, in conjunction with the launch of the ESP, announced the launch of this enterprise financing green solutions, which will provide green financing for companies who wish to embark on sustainability-related projects.
Interesting. Choon, I think you touched a very valid point. And we all come from the tech side of the background, and helping strategy, setting up frameworks, building right thesis is such an integral part to drive sustainability. And glad to know that ESP is covering that. So people who have been listening, that's a very important way of starting out your sustainability. I think it's the right premise. It's good to hear that perspective into it. Okay, I'll just pick a couple of more questions, and these are again going to be hard questions for you all, both to Marc and as well as Ted. I love the audience here today. So the question goes like this: large and limited enterprises, right? And your procurement practice is not always easy for young and aspiring companies who are down the value chain, who are trying new things, who are like going to say 3 times green premium or 2 times the green premium to adopt. And built environment is extremely cost competitive. So why don't you break the myth that you both are willing to accept a green premium? This is my question as well. Good that Wong also from the floor has asked this. Why don't you take turns here? Marc, maybe you want to go first. So you're on mute. Marc, you're on mute.
So yes, good question. Definitely what would help are 2 things. One, if we get the continued support of the government and the government agencies, authorities, which we have always been getting, and we really appreciate it. So more of those types of supports and grants will definitely help and make it more attractive. And also, for companies like CapitaLand and ourselves, if we're chosen as, let's say, the test hotels or test companies, where we can trial or try out the initiatives, that would definitely help. For example, for now, we are trying out AI initiatives in our Park Royal Beach Road hotel for food waste management. And so if we could have more of those, I think it would build awareness and incentives for procurement.
Yeah, that's interesting. So there's room for incentives to make it more adoptable. Good point, Marc.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, right. And Choon, that's something goes back to the government as well, and as well as to institutes like us. If you could also support more adoption, that makes it interesting, right? Good to know. Ted, how about you? Maybe before you could pitch, and there's also one more question following up to you there. So maybe take the first one.
Okay, the building materials or the LLE question? You
can take the building materials and then follow it up with a tougher one.
Okay, I'll get a warm-up question. All right. Yeah. So yes, the building materials are large contributors to carbon emission, and Well, I would say that we're not doing our own like blue sky R&D on alternative building materials, but we do have mechanisms through, again, our CapitaLand Sustainability X Challenge and our CapitaLand Innovation Fund to test bed and demonstrate new materials that would release less carbon or would sequester carbon. As I said, just before this meeting, I was in a session about a technology that would sequester carbon for under construction buildings. So we are very interested in that. But again, we're not doing our own blue sky research. For LLEs, on adopting procurement practices, it does certainly help to drive innovation with government incentives. So those incentives can include items like the Green Mark, of which a new version is coming out this year, the Green Mark 2021. That helps to push innovation and sustainability all the way through the value chain, and spurs improvements in performance throughout the value chain as well. Again, we're a company that believes very heavily in innovation, so that should help with the adoption of new technologies.
Great. I think I'm just cognizant of time, and I think we've also taken a fair amount of questions from the floor. Maybe one concluding thing. I could see this whole initiative is, we cannot do it alone. Cooperation is key. We need government support. At the same time, adoption by the large companies is also opening up. So where do you see the future of collaboration? So how important will collaboration improve for both of you? And do you think this expanding bigger and bigger, not only within Singapore, but like CapitaLand, you have your tenants too. You can extend your benefit back to your tenants. For Marc and the Pan Pacific Group, it could go all the way to the consumers, right? Who are like, how do you see this collaboration expanding and sustaining? Maybe Marc, you want to go first?
Well, as I mentioned, we're always looking for how to collaborate with our existing partners, and we're looking for more partners to collaborate with. And then there's definitely a lot of innovations which we would like to look into. For example, water efficiency, in water saving filters, or let's say low flush toilets, or organic amenities, or cleaning supplies, laundry detergent, disinfectants. Are there solutions that, close the waste loop by upcycling or recycling materials? Also guest facing recycling, upcycling, conservation solutions. Other examples could be solutions that enhance sustainable operations, offerings for meetings, conventions, consumer events, and as we already mentioned, carbon capture technology. So if we can find partners that are driving these topics, we will definitely be interested. That would help.
And that looks like one exciting playground of new ideas.
Yes, and to your global point, definitely we are looking to do this globally. As I mentioned earlier, we will have the Park Royal Collection Kuala Lumpur opening next year, and then there's more in the pipeline.
Interesting. I think it's going to be more exciting audience. And I'm already excited with some of the challenges which you've shared, and I said maybe we should meet up again. So good to catch up. So Ted, yes. How about you, and where do you see the future going?
Well, this is a very interesting question because it allows me to highlight one other way that CapitaLand pushes and supports innovation. In October 2020, CapitaLand opened the Smart Urban Co-Innovation Lab, the Smart Lab, at the Singapore Science Park in partnership with the Infocom Media Development Authority and Enterprise Singapore. It's the first industry-led lab in Southeast Asia focused on smart cities solutions. So the entire purpose of the lab is to bring together users and providers of technology in a real-world setting so that they can identify, develop, and demonstrate close-to-market solutions. So it focuses on a few industry verticals relevant for Singapore, as well as enabling technologies such as 5G, AI, and cloud. We've welcomed over 500 companies and onboarded over 70 members so far in the last year.
Oh, that's awesome. So that's one more playground to collaborate with CapitaLand. That's interesting. Thanks, Marc, and thanks, Ted. Maybe Choon, you have the last say here. There are new initiatives coming up from ESG. You want to throw up something what's coming up in the near future as we leave the floor open for more collaborations with all of us here.
Yeah, thanks, Mahesh. Maybe not so much initiatives, but maybe I wanted to end off with this this phrase which I steal from MTI. I can't remember who actually said it, but basically he said that as an enterprise development agency, what we set out to do is really to help companies to grow, to glow, and to go global. Wow. So to grow is really to help companies to build capabilities and enter into partnerships to strengthen their standing in international markets, right? I think ESG Enterprise Singapore will be most happy to work with you on a growth journey. And then to glow is really to shine, which is to identify how you can stand out from the competition out there. And we spoke about sustainability just now as a brand differentiator, and I would encourage everyone to look about this more closely because this would be the next wave of opportunity over the next few years. And then the third thing would be to go global, which is to look beyond Singapore for opportunities. Of course, many of the initiatives will be launched by public sectors in Singapore, and that will help you to build your track record. But I think beyond that, I think the world is an oyster. Look beyond Singapore at opportunities in not only Southeast Asia, but even in more further off markets where there are strong push towards sustainability, government favorable development policies and all that. I think will provide many of these opportunities for companies to look more closely at. Enterprise Singapore also has a network of global market officers that we're most happy to connect you to some of these opportunities should you see a need to.
Thanks, Choon. Okay, with that, I think maybe just concluding, thanks, Choon, thanks, Marc, and thanks, Ted here. Maybe just I'll say collaboration is the only way forward, and that's the only way to succeed in jointly doing this sustainability transformation. Thanks, Ted, for sharing all your wonderful perspective on what CapitaLand is. Thanks, Marc, for sharing for the entire group. And Choon, thanks for enabling. I think it's all three is where the innovation happens. I expect more such innovation happen in Singapore. And thanks a lot, audience, for asking questions as and when. Thank you. It's been wonderful chatting together. Bye-bye to everyone.
Thank you for the absolutely engaging discussion. Thank you, Mahesh, for moderating this whole conversation. Thank you to the panelists for sharing so openly. I'm certainly very heartened to hear the respective panelists' deep commitments in helping companies to not only innovate and test it, but also to commercialize and to scale their solutions. Now that we have heard from the demand drivers, their interest and commitment to innovate for sustainability, as well as ESG support for companies embarking on this innovation journey, we would also like to provide some perspectives from our solution providers. Innoviews, which is one of the participating startups scheduled to share today, is unfortunately not able to join us for today due to certain circumstances. Joining us today are two innovative startups that have embarked on open innovation alongside the large enterprises. They have each emerged as winners in respective innovation challenges and have now clinched partnership opportunities to implement their solutions. We are first pleased to have with us Mr. Heng, founder and managing director of Climatec Corp. Climatec Corp provides integrated solutions for building efficiency. They won the most innovative award at the CapitaLand Sustainability X Challenge for its water treatment technology that is able to treat cooling water without use of chemicals or power. Today, he'll be sharing with us his experiences in joining the Sustainability X Challenge. Without further ado, let me pass the time to Mr. Heng to share his experiences. Mr. Heng, please.
Good afternoon. I am Heng from Climatec Corp, participant and winner of the Most Innovative Award in the recently concluded CapitaLand Sustainability X Challenge 2021 for climate control quantum resonance water, KRW in short, water treatment innovation or cooling towers. We are honored to be invited for this Urban Sustainability R&D e-Symposia 2021, Innovating for a Sustainable Future. And we would like to thank the organizers for this opportunity to present. So I'll go and share my slides. And on today's agenda, we'll go through a little bit about who we are, the inspiration behind the innovation, from the idea to the prototype, and our journey on the CapitaLand Sustainability X Challenge itself. Climatec Corp was founded and incorporated in 2011 as a private company in Singapore by 4 individuals with diverse backgrounds in engineering, corporate business development, private equity, and marketing. The company's key focus was on environmental engineering, clean tech, to provide innovative, state-of-the-art, and economically viable solutions that work towards safeguarding and promoting sustainably built environments. The company also secured its first tranche of private investment by Taiwanese firm Climatec Corp the following year. And currently, our 3 core business focus areas are energy and water efficiency / clean tech, environmental control and monitoring, and building infrastructure. So the inspiration behind the innovation was born out of the following below. There is a gap between what the market needs and what is available. Current market offerings for water treatment face certain limitations and challenges. And also, poor performance of current market offerings also result in instances of increased operating expenditure and unplanned capital expenditure for end users. And users face a conundrum for the lack of a clear and viable solution. So from idea to prototype, a little bit of background. We have been in the water treatment market for 10 years, and we used to provide water treatment through solid chemistry, distinct in itself as it utilized the process of osmosis instead of traditional erosion available in the market, a controlled release of solid chemistry that was unique in the market. However, as clients' approach and requirements to tackle climate change and sustainability became more prevalent and apparent, we saw this need to innovate, the need to come up with a product that could address the new needs and requirements from end users that would be reliable, safe to operate, economically viable, and exceed in performance over what the current market was offering. This formed the basis of how the QRW was conceptualized and developed. And of course, what came to fruition was the QRW. The value proposition of the QRW is simple and straightforward, and it raises the bar to unprecedented standards for cooling tower water treatment. It is chemical-free and yet requires no power to operate. It saves water from blowdown, significantly higher than what the market can achieve. And it also saves energy on your associated chiller operations. It reduces maintenance, and QRW water is recyclable. In a nutshell, the QRW provides constant and consistent treatment with no risk of mechanical or electrical failure, and it easily exceeds our current green mark building requirements of 7 cycles of concentration, COC, by at least 2 to 4 times on our current installations. So the CXXC came at what we at Climatec felt was the right and perfect time to showcase the QRW. We had amassed 2.5 to 3 years of learnings through good size installations at various sites, good data, a great supportive client base. Any earlier or any later, and it would not have been ideal. That said, we almost missed the submission deadline because I couldn't remember the login password. And so our key learnings from the CSXC mentorship program, we learned a lot more on what we usually are used to, psychological and technical aspects of presentation skills, being humble, being bold to try, and being persistent until positive changes are evident. This was drilled into us, into the 5+1 elements for a good pitch. And credit to Mr. David Lee, our principal trainer for pitching from Luminaries Lab, Ms. Melissa Ho, Wavemaker Partners, and of course, our CapitaLand mentor team. And so we learned marketing pitch is not a one-size-fits-all. We need to bespoke this or fit for purpose to address the needs and value drivers of the targeted audience. And here we look at the context of the QRW value proposition in the context of the CSXC. The QRW meets all three CXXC's focus areas and more. For the focus area of water conservation and resilience, through water savings. For the focus area of low carbon transition, through energy savings. Through the focus area of waste management and circular economy, as QRW water is recyclable. Further, QRW reduces maintenance and labor costs, something we think is rather critical in this current COVID-19 environment. We have a reliable, safe, sustainable, and benchmark setting savings meeting all focus areas. Payback range is between 18 to 36 months, depending on site conditions and operations. And so, in summary, Climatec on the whole has benefited tremendously from participating in the CXXC, and this is in various aspects. Certainly the exposure. We have been getting quite a bit of unsolicited calls and emails on the QRW, with numerous follow-ups. Definitely a significant boost to our efforts for the QRW, and this win has most certainly expounded and validated the QRW in itself. It helps when you hear that your panel experts call the QRW a no-brainer. So all in all, we are humbled by this experience, and we encourage innovators to continue this relentless pursuit in a world where sustainability does matter. Understand your product, but also understand what the market needs. It will not be smooth sailing, and there will be ups and downs, but keep an open mind, keep learning, and keep persevering. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Heng, for sharing about your solution and how it addresses market and sustainability needs. I'm glad to hear about the business benefits Climatec Corp has reaped while participating in the Sustainability X Challenge. Finally, it is our privilege to have Mr. Chen, founder and CEO of Evercomm, here with us today. Evercomm Singapore provides asset performance management solutions for energy-intensive enterprises. After emerging as one of the winners of Sustainability Open Innovation Challenge in 2019, Evercomm was awarded a pilot project with Pan Pacific Hotels Group to address their problem statement on food waste management. We are glad to have him here share with us Evercomm's commitment to sustainability and his experiences in different open innovation challenges. Mr. Chen, please.
Thank you for having me. So yeah, my name is Ted. I'm the co-founder of Evercomm, and so you can see from the videos that we have been around since 2013, and it's really interesting to see that the pre-COVID era, when people talking about sustainability, it's more like a marketing, CSR kind of event. But we really see a strong changes during and after the COVID period, where now sustainability is really the mainstream. So back then, when we were mostly only be able to work with players who are like in the semiconductor manufacturing industry with very high energy intensive, and our journey coming into the commercial side, commercial sectors, especially with the properties and so on, is really started with the Pan Pacific Hotel groups, as also mentioned earlier in the panel sessions. So when we were starting with the commercial sectors, it took us a while to figure out, how can we really apply the innovation that we have done in the industrial sectors to help them save energy, but at the same time bring the same technology to the commercial sector. We officially met PPAG in 2016, just to sit down and really to brainstorm how can we better help the group to really improve and to really focus on their innovation strategy. So this was as early as 2016. It took about a year to 2017 with NTU to figure out there's a few areas that they would like to collaborate with, right? And 2018, with the launch of with the Singapore Tourism Board Hotel Innovation Challenge, that's when we officially collaborate together to bring AI into the hospitality sectors. And 2019, when everyone was very happy with the early results, we roll out the same AI solutions to the rest of the hotel property groups. And just now mentioned earlier, 2020, that's when we really kickstarted the NEA food challenge as well. So after energy, food waste is also another area where sustainability plays a big role. So we also extended our digital effort to start to capture these or finding ways to capture these food waste. So this is really our journey with the hotel groups. And you can see that in terms of the sites, although we only started with Park Royal on Beach Road very early on in 2017, but as we piloted and as we are developing the solution from day one directly with the hotel engineering teams, that really help us ensure that the result of the pilot can be successful. So when it comes to doing innovation collaboration, it's always very important to design a solution from day one with the owner. So you can see that once the innovation solution is proven at Park Royal on Beach Road, the hotel group actually adopted for the rest of their hotels. So right now in Pan Pacific Hotel Groups, these are the 5 hotels that are using our technologies. Not just for energy-wise, we're rolling out to all 5 properties now. And for food waste, we're kind of following the same framework, which we're starting again just with the Park Royal Beach Road. And depending on the results and how we fine-tune it, then we can scale it up to the different properties depending on the results and so on. So this is really the strategy that we have been fine-tuning over the years to see what is the most effective way for the hospitality sectors to really adopt innovations. So just to give some background of how everything gets started, some of the buildings are much older, some of the buildings are relatively newer. So to be able to get data for the energy side has always been quite challenging. So it took us a while to really work with the different engineering teams to figure out how to get these energy related data so that we can really quantify and track and improve on the sustainability effort that the hotels is doing. And similar effort is what we're doing now. Also later on, I will share with the food waste initiative. Right now, I think across all the hotels and so on, it's also very difficult for them to track the exact food waste. So similar to energy, this we started in 2016, and by now I think it becomes almost like a common practices for all the hospitality buildings to track their energy efficiency. And then again, it's the same routine now we're coming with the food waste initiatives. So this is just to show you, when it comes to innovations, unfortunately, there are many pilots that are currently ongoing, at the organization level, on the national levels, or even in a global scale. But the challenges that also mentioned by Yeoh in one of my recent talk is also the UN has stated that there's too many pilots that is ongoing, right? But the challenges has been how do we really convert these pilots into a real full scale deployment? Because only then if you bring a pilot to a deployment, then the innovation can really scale and you can really accumulate the impact that is meant to be, right? So as you can see here, although we started with Park Royal on Beach Road, but over the past 2 years, we really have expanded our pilot into a full-fledged commercial system, covering the different properties and quantifying all these carbon emission as we speak. So just to show you, these are some of the quick view. Right now for the hotel operators, they can see all these real-time data coming in, and these real-time data are also generating reports on time, so that the operators can really see what is the inefficiency or what is the performance across all the buildings. One interesting fact about innovation is that when we were doing this, no one was anticipating COVID, for example, right? So right now, because Pan Pacific is quite ahead in this, right now we're now getting a lot more properties group engaging us to be able to digitize the operation aspect of stuff, just because with COVID, we don't have enough manpower to run around. Right, so this is also an example to show that if an innovation is piloted correctly, the benefit can actually go beyond just the sustainability effort, right? I think digitalization in general is a trend that we're going over, and then if you do the investment correctly, it actually helps organizations save money in the long term, not just from the energy saving, but also on your manpower costs and so on. And we also realized that through our collaboration that, one Evercomm, for example, is really not enough. And this is where, public-private partnership becomes very important. I think that has been also echoed in the earlier sessions. So instead of just one Evercomm, we actually explored with the NTU Ecolabs to see how can we scale this kind of innovation effort to engage much more SMEs to help the hotels group, because one startup, even for us, we're very much specialized in energy space. But when it comes to other areas, just now is even mentioned carbon capture and etc. This is definitely not something that we can do. So the hotels definitely need to engage more SMEs and have a much more streamlined methods to manage all these innovation pipeline. So this is where Evercomm Pan Pacific Hotel Group and Ecolabs also collaborated together to bring this platform to place, where the NTU Ecolabs will act as an innovation partner, and where Evercomm, we are in the business of helping them to verify all these data. Because at the end of the day, when new technology come in, data is the final places where we verify really the technologies is improving in terms of carbon emission or not. So this kind of framework is where we are continuously working with the universities, with the government, to see how can we streamline this innovation pipeline. And just to show everyone that when it comes to typical buildings, there's so many different technology that you can already see here, right? So if you want a hospitality operators to be able to know what is the latest technology across all these different domains, it's really not possible. So as mentioned earlier, having a right partner is really key when it comes to driving innovations and also driving the sustainability mandate. And this is exactly what with data and with collaborations like NTU Ecolabs and with the help from the government various pilot program, we're trying to see one by one these different areas. How can we use a data-driven approach to bring down the carbon emission, but also at the same time improve productivity. So also reducing the dependency on unnecessary manpower. So this is just to show some of the AI initiatives that we have done. And currently we are also working with the NTU to continue to improve. Once you have data digitally, it's much easier to track all these energy efficiencies, all your improvements when it comes to carbon emission reductions and so on, right? And some of the latest initiatives that we're really doing with the NTU side and also with the Pan Pacific Hotel Group is to see how can we quantify carbon emissions much more in real time, because there's a lot of buzz right now on carbon emissions and etc. And then recently there was a conference where there's many CEOs are committed to the net zero target. But when questioning these CEOs, what does that mean? How much do you have to spend to achieve that? Or where are you in terms of the organization? It's really difficult for many of them to answer, and they do acknowledge that as well. So this is where we are trying to work with the universities, with the government, various initiative programs to see how can we bring a more real-time data-driven information to the hospitality group so that they can track their various sustainability emissions and also to track the performance in a much more holistic manner. And coming into to where food waste and energy come into place. At the end of the day, when it comes to sustainability, it's really all about how do we get the end customers engaged, right? One of the key discussion we have when it comes to doing all these innovation is the hotels can do all the things that they can possibly do to reduce energy consumptions, to reduce food waste. But at the end of the day, if the end customers continues to waste energy, meaning, using the aircon when they're not in the room or continues to over order, there's nothing the hotels can do to cut down waste. So our strategy from day one has always been, using these digital information, how can the hotels to better engage their guests, to help them, the guests, to be part of the sustainability journey as well, right? This is the same strategy that we decided to embark for both energy and right now food waste. So for energy, we're going down to, with all these data, how do we quantify, the guests' energy per night, so that when the guests check out from the hotels, they can be aware of their carbon emissions. And when it comes to food waste, also leveraging on machine learnings, AIs to keep track of the food waste in a more effective manners. Of course, in a most labor-intensive manner, the hotel can employ people to keep track of all these plays, blah, 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 to know exactly what's the food waste and inform the end user. But that's very tedious, very cost-effective. It is very expensive for the hotels to do that. So this is where, innovation really becomes important, and where we're working with NEA Innovation Challenge to leverage on machine learnings, which is a very proven technology, machine learning combining with computer visions to keep track of all these food waste. So right now where we're doing with the NEA projects is that when a particular plate has been, when the guests are finishing with their dining, the plates will be quickly scanned using the standard off-the-shelf camera, and all these information related to how much food is left on the plates and all these things we can quickly tag to the different restaurants, and within the restaurants we can also tag the different menu items. So these kind of information can also inform the chef that why a particular menu, for example, are constantly generating more waste. or leftovers than other items, right? So it could be that this can also serve as a customer feedback. You know, why a particular thing has always been over proportion and so on. So these are the kind of data that we're leveraging on computer visions to capture for the hotels, so that with these data, the hotels can really review their menus and their chef preparations. But at the same time, these data can also be used to engage the end customers, right? So when the customers pay their bills, what we're aiming to be able to achieve at the end of the pilot is to show that as the customers are paying their bills, they will also be able to notify, you know, exactly what is their food waste, you know, from that particular dining experience. So at the end of the day, you know, the whole idea is sustainability should be a more inclusive approach, and we should engage the end guest from as early as possible. So these are some of the innovation pilots that we have been doing with the hotels group, and we look forward to continue to expand the various aspects of quantifying these effort and be able to engage the end user in a much more effective and inclusive way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chen, for the very informative sharing of what Evercomm is embarking on various fronts, from food waste to quantifying carbon emissions to identifying energy saving opportunities. ESG is very glad to be a partner in this, and we wish you all the best for your innovation journey. Once again, we would like to thank Mr. Tan, all the panelists, Mr. Yeoh, Mr. Handl, Mr. Howland, Mr. Mahesh, as well as Mr. Heng and Mr. Chen. Thank you so much for taking the time out to share your experiences in open innovation challenges and your respective commitments in sustainability. Before we end today's session, do allow me to make a few announcements. These announcements will be screened after the webinar as well, if you do not manage to catch them. We've been sharing much about open innovation and the opportunities it brings to both LLEs, SMEs, and startups. If you are inspired by our speakers and would like to tap on open innovation to grow your business, we are glad to share these two opportunities with you. Firstly, Jurong Island companies and the broader energy chemicals industry are calling for solutions in areas like energy, water, and waste management. If you have a solution that may be able to meet these needs, be sure to check out the Jurong Island Innovation Challenge by scanning the QR code as shown. Another opportunity you can explore is the Sustainability Open Innovation Challenge, which is calling for solutions centered around the theme of circular economy. Details can be found by scanning the QR code as well. We would also like to remind all that the call for test bedding proposals at Jurong Lake Gardens is currently ongoing. The application details and more info on the call can be found while scanning these QR codes. If you have further queries, you can contact the relevant personnel at the email address as shown. Coming up next in October, e-Symposia will be holding a couple of webinars held in partnership with the World City Summit and the Sustainable Energy Association of Singapore. First up, in 21st October, we will be having a webinar on the pertinent topic of healthy cities, where distinguished speakers will be sharing with us how can we design and manage cities to better promote healthier living. Next, on 27th October, we'll be having Power Ace, a startup pitching competition featuring 12 outstanding startups from the energy domain. Do join us to learn about the exciting technologies that are shaping the energy industry of the future. These webinars are complimentary, and if you'd like to join them, do scan these QR codes as shown. Next, in November, we will be having a couple of e-Symposia webinars focusing on urban analytics. These webinars will share how we can leverage on digital tools like data analytics and machine learning to improve how we plan our cities. Once again, these webinars are complimentary and you can find out more via the QR code as shown. Finally, if you are interested to learn more about our e-Symposia series, we would like to invite you to visit our portal. Not only would you be able to view past webinars and sign up for upcoming ones, you can also share your suggestions to help us shape our RIE 2025 plans and access various schemes to help support your innovation needs. The portal can be accessed via the QR code as shown. With that, we have come to the end of today's webinar, and we hope that you have found the session insightful and productive. We would also like to express our appreciation to our guest speakers for taking the time off to be with us today. Thank you all for joining us today, and have a pleasant weekend ahead. Goodbye.